In virtually every service or product system that exists, we are accustomed to pre-ordering. You know, you see the flashy presentation for a bag or an ad for a phone, a game, a dress, something that's actually still in the works. And we put down our money and wait months, perhaps upon months, just for that particular product to arrive because it piqued our interest, it caught our attention, and it promised something that is revolutionary. Hmm. What if we did that with a house? I'm talking no walls, no doors, no plumbing, no electricals, no finished building. Just a promise on paper. Well, for those who have no idea what this is, it's actually called off plan real estate. And depending on how you approach it, it may be one of the smartest investment moves you ever take or the most frustrating one. Let's dive in. So, addressing the elephant in the room, what exactly is an off plan development? Think of it this way: a developer basically acquires a piece of land, okay? He then assigns a team to get him the plans and then the blueprints for the design of the apartment, story building, whatever the plan may be. And then he acquires a permit. And then he starts to sell the design units either before or during construction. And you, the buyer, you don't get to walk through the front door, you don't get to check water pressure, you don't get to check backup power, lighting fixtures, or any other relevant feature that would typically induce or affect your decision either to acquire or to move. No, you are making a massive financial decision based on floor plans, 3D renderings, virtual reality tours, estimated calculus, and the likes. You are literally buying into the developer's vision. Sounds absurd, right? Why would anyone actually invest in something like this? Why not just get a house you can actually stand inside of and critique? Because this isn't some 1,500 or 5,000 or even $25,000 deal. This is in the hundreds of thousands of dollars mark. It actually boils down to these three major advantages, killer features, if you will. And that leads us to the pros, as in pros and cons. So, pro number one, the early adopter discount. This actually comes double fold, okay? Firstly, when developers start a project, they need cash flow to fund the construction, obviously. And they need to let the banks know that people actually want to stay in their developments. So, to incentivize you to take on the risk of buying a debt patch, they sell off-plan properties at a significantly lower price than what it will be worth when construction is complete. And secondly, more often than not, by the time the project is done and completed, perhaps 1, 2, or even 3 years later, the capital appreciation is massive. You've basically gained equity for doing nothing but waiting. Think of it like investing in a stock market index like the S&P 500. It compounds for you over time, bringing in massive returns you didn't have to lift a single finger for. Moving on, pro number two, the payment plan. Usually, buying a house that's already constructed means dumping a massive down payment all at once. Off plan, however, is like a subscription model. Developers offer staggered payment plans linked to construction milestones. You may have to pay 10% during booking, 10% when foundation is laid, and so on and so forth, with the last chunk due on handover. And pro number three, the new tech smell. When you get the keys, everything is brand new. No weird plumbing issues from the previous owner, no outdated 90s styles, nothing like that. You are getting modern smart home wirings, the latest energy efficient windows, modern aesthetics, all of the good stuff. Plus, if you get in early enough, some developers may take into consideration your design language for certain portions, like the colorway of your unit, your countertops, your finishes, flooring, etc. Now, cheaper price, great payment terms, brand new text mail, and more. All these are extremely great stuff that will influence your decision. But there's a catch, and it's a big one. Remember how I said all you are buying into is a promise? It's not hard for you to know or to soon realize that promises get broken and very easily. In this case, the biggest risk plan is development delays or failure. And why is this pivotal, in case you're asking? Well, if it isn't obvious already, supply chain issues, permitting nightmares, or a developer simply running out of money can mean your property is delayed by years, or in worst case scenarios, cancelled entirely, which means that your hard earned money gets locked up in a concrete skeleton. Catch number two, the Instagram versus reality effect. You see those 3D renders that intrigue you to invest. You should know that there is nothing perfect lighting, scaling, and AI cannot do in creating a realistic, perfectly furnished room scenario. But then, 3 years later, you finally step in, and do you need me to tell you? The developer wasn't able to secure the estimated funding for the project, and so there were compromises. A compromise on materials, a compromise on plumbing, compromise with electricals, a, plum- a compromise with furnishes, and oh, remember the view of the skyline promised? Well, it's actually now blocked by another new development. Con number three, market volatility. This is similar to how the stock market works, okay? Just like how there is massive investment and opportunity to build wealth, markets can equally crash and leave you standing with nothing due to foreseen or unforeseen circumstances, like the war going on. In the same way, yes, your property could appreciate massively by the time construction works are completed. But if the real estate market tanks while construction works are ongoing, you could end up with a property less than the amount you agreed to years ago. Now, I know we've explored a lot, okay? You've seen the risks as well as the massive opportunity that exists to build wealth. This is actually the system of anything worthwhile. I'm talking risks and opportunities. Risks separate the pros from the amateurs. Who then is this for? Well, if you're someone with a high risk tolerance, or someone who thinks more in the long term than the short term gains, or perhaps even someone who generally isn't in a hurry to move in quickly, this is your hotspot. And oh, huge tip because you've stayed thus far. Doing exhaustive research on a developer's track record can give you a projected understanding on how the development is going to go. I know it sounds obvious, but you'll be surprised at the number of people who don't do this research. They just jump in because something piqued their interest or perhaps referral. And all these are good, yes, but do your homework too. But if you are someone who needs a roof over their heads now, or someone who wants the certainty of knowing what they are investing in, this isn't for you. You are going to want to look into the secondary market, the already built, ready to move in hardware. And that's exactly what we're going to tear down in our next video. So, for those who like to take a chance at this kind of development, the off plan, kindly find a link in our description to some of the flagship developments from flagship developers in flagship areas of Accra. These promise high returns on investment and they're stylish. Check it out in the description and feel free to reach out to us at any given point in time. We'll reach out to you, answer any question, give you more details on what the developments are all about. Thank you guys for staying to the end. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys again in the next one. Medase.